Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I've got the Q with the U, which is good, but I'm not seeing a 7 or 8 with this rack. The B doesn't go particularly well with the Q. Through a U, I would have bouquet, and through an I would have, I think, briquette, but that may be a TE on the end. Onto an A, I would have burqa. And if opponent changes, then I have quote or quota. And I would also have talk. Now, I do have burqa and baroque through the A. Do I have anything through the C or the L? Well, not by way of a bingo. Now, I think I have a better play in column 10 because I have quote down here, and I will stick the R on the end because quote takes DR and S, and there's a good chance opponent may have one of those. So quota for 43. I draw the second B, and the rack as a whole, pretty non-bingo-y. I have ebet on my rack, but that would leave double I, a pretty grim rack leave. Now I do have an I for going next to the Q. So what are my options down here? Well, buy or bit, both work. I don't have to play off both Bs, especially with this vowel preponderance. So is there any way I can play more tiles than just B or buy? Let me see what this scores. 19 points. This isn't a terrible rack leave. And this play isn't giving too much away. Let me just put this back and see if I can find something better. I do have BWEEB on my rack, but that doesn't go anywhere great. Do I have a play over the top of AY? I don't think I do. If I play just by, that takes an O in front. And also I'm open to column 12 plays. But I've not seen anything better. Pretty good. Through an O, I would have biometer. What about the available floaters? How about the C? B and C don't go great together. And I'm not seeing a bingo with that. And I'm also not seeing a 7 with this rack. I don't think bi-meter is good. Now I can play bi again, but for a lower score. Now through a T, I would have M-bitter. Opponents played a T, but not in the right spot. So very few floaters to consider. There's the C, which I have considered, and there's the A. And I do have amberite, but opponent has just blocked that. Say only takes an S at the end. Now, do I have a play down from the T? Well, I have timer. It would be nice to play off the B. It's a less bingo-y tile. But timer isn't terrible. Well, I have tribe. 24 points, not a great score and a pretty lame rack leave. But I haven't seen anything better. And in particular, I can't see a way of playing off the M and the B. I'm going with this. Not great. F, H, and M. All quite nice tiles with the right rack, but not all together on the same rack. And no N for chin. That's column 12 is a pretty hot spot if one does have an N. Now I do have an H for going underneath the C, so I could play fame. That would be nice, getting rid of all 3 of my scoring tiles and not giving too much away. I guess an E above a triple word square, potentially dangerous. But that would certainly sort the rack out. I lead by 36. There are a few useful floaters on this board, and opponent bingos. Wow. Zooms into the lead. What can I do? So, this spot looks quite hot next to the Eye of Triarches. Let me see what Fame scores. 31 points. Can I do better than that? Well, I could play Hide. 36 points. I think I can get a slightly better score, but only at the expense of a worse rack leave. And if opponent plays their next turn, he will be providing a bingo. And this is quite a good rack leave. And there are two hotspots created by Fame. There's the one underneath the E, the triple letter square, plus there's the one which I'm leaving alone with this triple word square, so I'll get first shot at one of those. And this rack leave goes well with the E of Tribe. Great, I draw an X for going underneath the E, so I've got Axe in that spot. What else do I have? Well, I have Ox and Z in column 12. Great, just 39 points for opponent. So, is there a bingo with this rack? And I don't think there is. I'm not seeing anything through the E, and that's the most likely floater. So I think I do need to play underneath this E, and it has to be AX. Can I make this any longer? Well, I can play the L, and I think I will, otherwise an awful lot of tiles can go in front of AX. This rack leave is slightly vulnerable. It's always preferable to retain a consonant-heavy rack leave. Let me just take this back. Do I have a play in row H with X in 4th place, or indeed anywhere? And that would have to end O or I. I have taxoid on my rack. Now, do I have any AXO words? Or, sorry, AXI words? No. Okay, I am going back to playing lax for 56. Well, I don't draw vowels, so I'm grateful for the 2 I kept, and this is such a non-bingo-y rack. You see a rack like this and you wonder if that's good night to your bingo chances for the entire game. But there are still 2 blanks to come. So I guess I just need to wade my way through this rack, and I only trail by 15 points. I'm going to struggle to play off many tiles. However, this is quite nice. Cow for 35. This rack leave is fairly okay, and I'm dampening down some of the volatility, which I'd like to do, given that we're fairly level and my rack is non-bingo-y. Well, slightly better than last time, but U and V go badly together. I think I have Voguey, V-O-G-U-Y. However, I may be confusing that with R-O-G-U-I, and I think I am. I have Tivy in column 12, but that takes an S in front, still 2 S's to come. So 7 points between us, really close game. What to do? I would like to play off the V and the U. That may not be possible. Do I have anything in column 14? I don't think so. I do have some weak plays like Vum and Gov, but the rack leave is so terrible, I think changing would be preferable. How am I doing for time? 13 minutes. I'm looking again at column 12 because I think the score is going to be better than that which is available elsewhere. Just can't see anything other than Tivy. Well, there's Duty. Let me see what that looks like. 23 points. I think I prefer that. Although this is vowel heavy, the vowels will help me get rid of the V. 23 points is an okay score from a grotesque rack. And I'm not giving very much away. An alternative might be Gouty for 18, but that's fewer points and offers more. Now, let me take this back. What about row G? Because Och and Ich are good. Yam is good. So what about this for 25 points? Well, that keeps UV. I don't like that. Is there anything better in this spot? Just not seeing it. Fap takes nothing in front, so this middle triple word square not currently available. I'm going back to Duty for 23. Wow, I draw the first blank, and the rest of the rack isn't too terrible. I may not have a bingo this go, but I think if I jettison the V and a couple of vowels, I should be in good shape. So, firstly, do I have a bingo? And where are the floaters? Really just the G as a solitary floater and the M. Ah, great, I do have a bingo, and it's a nice one. I have Movie Dumb for 92. Bang! Fantastic. And this isn't a bad pickup either. A J with a couple of S's, and I'm 90 points in the lead on quite a blocked board. Great. Opponent has not come back with a straight bingo, so I can enjoy my lead for a little while. So I've got Joe and Och, which leaves not a bad rack leave. Can I do better than that? And actually, row G is a bingo lane for bingos ending ES. So I'd quite like to take that out. That's 19 points. The rack leave is good. I could play C Joe, but that would provide access to row H, so isn't better than Joe. I don't have anything ending OJ. I could play Je, but I think this is for a lower score, only 26 points. So I've got Joe for 19 points. Is there something better? It doesn't make sense to hang on to the J. I think Joe is fine. This will give my opponent something to think about, unless he's got a bingo through the G. But if he does have a bingo through the G, he will be opening up access to column 1 triple word squares. So this looks very bingo-y. And I do have a bingo. Fantastic. I was just going through the anagrams of agonizes, and there's one which fits. Assignee for 72. And, well, I'm 150 points in the lead. There are 11 tiles left. Surely I can hang on. No scoring tiles here. But I've opened up access to 2 triple word squares, so I will get first shot at one of them. So, for example, I can play Anon at the bottom. And what do I have at the top? I think I have Anona. No, I have only 1A. Okay, great. Very low score for opponent. And he takes out bingo lanes. So there's nothing I need to block. 9 tiles left. 9 minutes on my clock. And I have Anon for 22. Let me pause. I do have 9 minutes. Column 3 is a bingo lane onto this T. Not seeing anything there. Are there any other bingo lanes? There's DO, there's UR. Not seeing anything through any of those. Yeah. Well, sometimes you can play too quickly, especially when you're ahead. But I think I have given this proper consideration now. So Anon for 22. Not great. However, all of these E's mean that opponent has none. And in fact, only 3 vowels out of the remaining 12 tiles. So I should be able to just see this game out. The other anagrams of assignee were agonizes and a genesis, but neither of those played. So what am I going to do with this rack? It's a strange board. There are very few bingo lanes and there are very few scoring spots either. So 2 tiles left. 3 tiles in the bag, rather. So I'm looking to play off 2 tiles, and the 2 E's are obvious candidates. Where can I play them? And I was thinking about taking out a bingo lane, but looking at what's left and the size of my lead, I don't think there's any need for me to do that. 8 minutes on my clock. So I have eel, maybe providing opponent the opportunity to play something like zit, but that's a pretty tiny score, so I'm not too bothered by that. However, is there a better spot for my e's? So that's 11. What about just playing re down here? 15, much better. I'm going with this. And I draw the Z. Okay. So I have D-Zinc on my rack as a 6, but this is not a 6-friendly board. Do I have anything, any long Z play ending in T? I don't think so. And I can see what opponent's got now. He's got weight plus a blank. And 7 minutes on my clock. So what am I going to do with this Z? Usually quite a nice tile to see. I don't have anything to go in front of Lav. I do have column 4, but that would have to end in an I, and I don't have any Z plays ending in an I. Opponent could go out next turn if he saw Tawai. So I do need to play off the Z, not to win the game, but just to maximize my winning spread. 6 minutes. Zia is good, but I don't have anything any playable word which ends EZ. I don't have anything which goes after double A. So is there anywhere on this board to play the Z? ZE is good, so I do have ZE and TE. But surely there is something better than that. Nothing in column 8. Nothing through Ober. Nothing down from knee. Zoo is good, but that's just a solitary tile. Well, how interesting. Now, Biz is good, but again, there's no play. So perhaps ZE is the only Z spot on this board. Well, there's Les. which would stop Tawai, but I'm going to take a punt that opponent doesn't have an out in that spot. And I think it's worth taking that punt because if I play Les, opponent could play Waltz. And that's a much easier word to see. So I'm not being disrespectful in any way by leaving that open. So Z for 17, 4 minutes on my clock. Just astonishing that this is the best Z spot available. It almost certainly isn't, but we'll find out. Just not seeing anywhere else. Okay, well, let me put this game out of its misery and play it. So I've seen Tawai for opponent. He may have other options in column 4. What if he doesn't? Do I have an out here? Possibly not. No, I'm not seeing anything ending in I, and there's not too much else to consider. However, I still think it was the right thing to get rid of the Z. If that was stuck on my rack, I would be looking at a 20-point count back against me. Yeah, okay, so I do lead by 120. 4 minutes on my clock. Opponent's got eye blank, he's certainly going out. I think I'll play Cedar for 16. And opponent is surely going out. Supposing he doesn't, do I have 2 outs my N? Well, the opponent doesn't go out, so I've now got 3 minutes to find the best spot for my N. There's EN for 2. And I might as well do this methodically. Chin, block, knock, not good. Lin for 3. And bin, 7. No, nothing better than and bin. And the final score, 357 for my opponent, 493 for me, a winning margin of 136 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Well, a big win in the end, but it didn't feel like that for quite a while. So it was my opponent to go first, and he had some bingos on his rack. Doesn't spot them, plays Cal. And I have quota for 43, which looks fine. Opponent doesn't have a bingo, plays Say, and this is the first of quite a few tricky racks. Rebby K10, quite nice, does take an S, but the T helps the double I. So what do? I play Buy for 19, 10 fewer points, keeping BEEIT. So is BEEIT 10 points better than double IT? I don't think it is. I would say double IT is pretty grim, maybe minus 6 or 7. BEEIT, well, possibly slightly negative, maybe between 0 and -2. So I think maybe there's a 4 or 5 point difference in score, in rack valuation, which would make Rebbe a better play. However, Rebbe does open column 15, so is a more dangerous play. However, Buy does open 2 hotspots, column 12, row D. Very, very tricky one to judge, and certainly I feel more comfortable with this, the rack lead following Buy. Now, opponent's rack. No bingo. Plays Tire. L3. Tombra and T. That's nice, 25 points. Instead, I play tribe for 1 fewer point, keeping EMT. Well, I think EMT is 1 point better than E. E is about 0, maybe plus or minus a half. But EMT, I would say, is pushing plus 2 or 3. So I think tribe is a better play. Great rack for opponent. And he does bingo. And now I trail, and I've got a non-bingo-y rack. I thought about hide for 36, and I preferred fame for 5 fewer points, but with a better rack leave. And I think ADT is 5 better than AFMT. F and M don't go well together. So I think AFMT is probably negative, maybe minus 3, and ADT slightly positive, maybe plus 3 or 4. So I think on score and rack leave, fame just edges it. Opponent's rack, not great. Plays film. And now, wow, taxi for 65. Gosh, that's a nice play. Instead, I play lax. And thinking about it, on mature reflection, I think XI is a pretty good play if taxi is missed, because this play of LA, even if opponent doesn't have an O for XO, I am creating a hotspot for an FA something word, which XI doesn't provide. So I think lax is fine, it's 56 points, and the rack leave's okay, but I think Z and taxi are better plays. And you see here, opponent doesn't have a great rack, but lax enabled him to play grip. And now I trail, and I've got a rubbish rack. But I do have cow for 35, that looks fine. Opponent has UV, plays Dan, and this was a rack I really struggled with. I thought about Tivy, L14, not. Because of Saced. I didn't consider the T hook for Says, but Tivy's quite nice because the V prevents plays in column 15. Yeah, and Divot, D8. Because of Obi. Gosh, I certainly should have considered Obi words, and I didn't. Void also available. So what do? I played Duty for 23, which is a ballpark score with the other plays. But I suspect there were better plays available. Opponent's rack plays Vor. And now, look at this, just 3 points between us. But I've drawn the first blank, and I have Moviedom for 92. And Voivode also available. Nice word. And look at this. I play Moviedom at the bottom of column 15, but of course it plays at the top. And as it happens, they score the same, but that's just fortuitous. It's possible that a higher scoring tile could have landed on this double letter square, and I wouldn't have known about it because I only considered the bottom placement. And I think the top placement would have been safer because Moviedom at the bottom does stick this vowel next to this double word square. Small differences, but worth noting. Now, opponent's rack plays Oo. Wow, edgy does. Where's that? B9. Gosh, edgy does through DO. Very nice, 60 points. It is opening access to row A, but I think that's a price worth paying for a score this big. And Joe's, where's that? L1. Joe's, gosh, and LIS. So, gosh, yes, only 19 points for JO. So, although JO has a lot of strategic merit, it's taking out a really good 7-letter lane and creating nothing. I don't think 41 points was a price worth paying for that. Now, opponent's rack. He plays Vug. And I have a signee for 72, and that really secured the win. So I'm 150 points ahead, and there are only 11 tiles in the bag, and it's a fairly tight board. Opponent really needs to come back straight away with a bingo, and he can't. He plays pst. And now I play Anon, and I could have played Aeon. Not too much difference between those. Oh, great rack for opponent. He does have a couple of bingos, Interlap and Rutilant, in columns 1 and 3, but he doesn't spot them. Plays Earn, and now just 2 tiles in the bag. I6 EXED because of Gripe. That's nice. I played double E, and now no bingo for opponent. He plays Lav. And this was interesting because this is where I could only find ZE, what was available. E14, ZE. Okay. Yes, for fewer points. And look at this, there's no better play which burns the Z. Gosh. Okay. Now opponent's rack, he does have Tawai, and that was the only out. Doesn't spot it. Plays Wat. Now I don't have an out. And I play Cedar for 16, which is, I think, probably the best on offer here because the other plays which score more also suffer much greater count back. And opponent, well, he doesn't go out. He plays Yam. And then finally I have Un for 7. So, what a game. And it was just really a strange game and a strange board. It was neck and neck, and I had some jolly non-bingo racks with multiple scoring tiles on them. And I felt that I was in for the long haul. And then I got 2 really super bingos. One movie done with an unpromising rack with a V and 2 O's on using a fairly unhelpful floater of an M, which duplicates a tile in the word. And then secondly, I had a signee through the only remaining floater on the board. So those two instances of good fortune propelled me into a huge lead, which I was never really in any danger of losing. So quite a strange game, but an enjoyable one. Many thanks to my opponent for a good battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.